Hey again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of All Things Universal Orlando. Today, we're going to be looking at all of our top 5 rides on the studio side. Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of All Things Universal Orlando. We have another discussion video that we're doing for you today. Joining me in the studio today is my lovely wife, Carla.
Hello.
Also from Florida, down in the great old state where Universal Orlando is located, we have my son, Ryan. Ryan, say hello.
Hey, guys.
And his lovely wife, Gabby. Gabby, say hi.
Hello. Hi.
And so the last time you saw us do this, we were talking about the top 5 restaurant experiences, dining experiences in City Walk. Mm-hmm. And that was a fun video to shoot.
That was
I
lot
enjoyed
of fun,
that
yes.
a lot. And so we're going to do the same thing today, only we're going to talk about what our top 5 favorite rides on the studios side of things is. And what that means is probably we'll be doing another one talking about the top 5 on the island side. But today we're only going to be looking at studios. And
as well as attractions.
As well as attractions, not just rides. Thanks, Gabby. It's not just rides, but the top 5 attractions of any kind on the studios side of things. So before we begin, as always, I want to remind you to like and subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can be made aware every time we have a new video. All right, so Ryan, let's start with you. We started with you last time. We'll do the same thing. We're looking at your top 5 attractions on the studios side of Universal Orlando Resort. It can be a ride. It can be a show. It can be anything like that. Whatever they classify as an attraction, we want to hear your 5 favorite. We're going to do something different this time, guys. Instead of having Ryan go through his top 5 and then Gabby and Carla and myself, we're each going to tell you what our number 5 is and just count them down, I guess, unilaterally, as that would be. I don't know if that's the right terminology for that or not, but that's what I'm going with.
Great Scott, number 5.
So, Ryan, number 5 for you would be?
Yeah, so my number 5 is Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. And I honestly, when I was making this list, had a really hard time not putting it as an honorable mention. I almost did. I was really, really close to using it as an honorable mention. But at the end of the day, I think the queue is pretty good, and that would be the reason why I keep it on my list. I'm not honestly a big fan of the ride. I think it's a little lackluster. I think the first time that I went on the ride, because of Forbidden Journey and how much I think that's like a really immersive and incredible ride, I was expecting equally as great of a ride, and it just really kind of let me down a little bit. So that ride's always kind of had a sour taste in my mouth. So, but the queue is really good. So I think when you first walk into the bank, that's like unbeatable. I think that's a really, really cool queue. And if you watch Harry Potter, then it just totally immerses you in that part of the queue. But then again, when you get past that part, it's really kind of boring from that point forward. So I really, really wanted to put it as an honorable mention because I'm just not that over the top about it. But I think because of that beginning part of the queue, it's my number 5.
Yeah. You know, I'll be honest with you, it's not on my top 5. And I was surprised because when I did top 5 Universal Studios rides originally, and I had to pull that video, there were some copyright things with Despicable Me. It was like number 2, and it's not even in my top 5 now. And so I get that. So that's number 5 for you for sure. All right, Gabby, what about you? What's number 5 for you?
My number 5, I have the Jimmy Fallon ride. That's my number 5 because I enjoy the queue of that ride. I feel like when you walk in the building, it feels like you're in whatever kind of studio that they would produce that show in, or like you're going to see the show live is what I feel like, especially like the small details, like the carpet, everything in there, and then how big it is. I think that the queue is huge getting up to the actual ride. I know it's not everybody's favorite ride, but I enjoy that ride a ton. Every time we do it, I sit there and like smile the whole time I'm on that ride. Yeah, I think that ride's a good one. So that's my number 5.
I agree. I think that ride gets a lot of hate, and I don't know why. I don't think it's a great attraction. I don't. I think the queue is amazing. I'm with you. You see all the Today Show memorabilia.
Oh, yeah, and the ragtime gals.
Yeah, you have the ragtime gals. I mean, it's a show that's before the ride.
Yeah.
I think it's good. It's again not on my top 5, but it's certainly good. It does get a lot of hate though, and I don't understand that. I mean, It's not a bad attraction at all. It's not the best thing there, obviously, but it's not bad.
Well, what did that replace? Twister, right?
Yes.
So it kind of had some decent shoes to fill.
Yeah, I mean, Twister was, a fan favorite.
Yeah.
People, I liked Twister better than this.
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I did too, without question.
But I still think this is good. I don't think it's I'm not like, oh, how dare they change? This is not Fast and Furious, right? This is not that.
Okay, we're not even going there.
And
Thank
so, and by the way, if any of you have Fast and Furious on your top 5, you'll be muted.
That's my number 1.
No, it's not. Stop
Oh my
talking.
gosh, I can't believe it.
That's a whole other story. All right, Carla, what do you have at number 5?
Number 5 for me is the horror makeup show. And I thought that would make it higher on my list than it actually did. But I have just noticed over the past couple of times that we've been to the horror makeup show that everything seems to be getting stale.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that is an amazing show.
Don't get me wrong.
Every
It is
time
an
I
amazing
see
show. It is, and it's so funny, and they've got like great people. But I'm kind of just at this point. I mean, maybe if you ask me next week, it might be something different. But as of right now, right at this moment where I sit, it's number 5.
See, I get that. But I think, to Universal's credit, they have done things to freshen. For example, Beetlejuice is now the pre-show.
That's true. That was fantastic.
And it was fantastic.
Yeah,
He's interactive.
He was great.
You have to space your seating because of COVID, so it can't get as big of a theater. So the ambiance isn't going to be the same because you don't have as many people in there. But I thought that it was just as good, even with different people. I mean, we all have our favorites in that show. And this past year, it wasn't either of our favorites, but it was still great.
It was funny.
I still love it, knowing full well everything's going to happen. I don't miss that.
I think one of the big things with the horror makeup show too is because of how it's been there for a while. If you wind up getting put into, like, if you go to the show at the same time as a bunch of other people who've already been there, and someone from that group gets picked to be like the volunteer, it really kind of takes away from the whole hilarity of the whole thing and the excitement of, what is this person? Are they going to scream when the hand pops out or whatever? So I think you kind of roll the dice every time you go see it now because of how long it's been around, that you might get stuck with someone who's seen it 50 times, or you might get stuck with someone who's their first time. So it's like either way, you kind of roll the dice. And if you wind up with someone who's seen it a million times, it takes away from how good that show could be.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
That's true.
That is true.
Every time we go in to watch that show, I am absolutely mortified that I'm going to be chosen. Not because I don't want to be in front of people, but because of the fact that we've seen it. I wouldn't have no idea how to react because I would either be faking my reactions or playing along with. I don't feel like, and I get that's something where if you go to the parks all the time, they're not going to, that's your fault. You're going to the park. So if you get picked, I shouldn't complain about that. But I think about it every time I'm there. I'm like, whenever we watch it, I'm having this anxiety in the audience. Like if they pick me, what am I going to do?
Fellow introvert, yes.
I said the two people who have, Gabby's got, her own makeup tutorial YouTube channel, and Carla's the only true introvert in the lot. I don't care what anybody tells you. And here she is doing this.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
but
okay. But having a good time.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, so my number 5 is the Simpsons Ride. And this is, I've learned over the course of hosting a YouTube channel, this is a love-hate relationship with this ride. There are people that love this ride, like me, or people that can't stand it. And I don't think it has anything to do with being a fan of The Simpsons. I am a fan of The Simpsons. I do enjoy the show. I thought the movie was good. I think I laughed the entire time through this ride.
Yep.
I mean, I know the jokes that are coming. When Bart's like, "You soiled your pants for the last time," I laugh every time, and when I know it's coming, I love the shameless slap in the face that it does with Disney and with SeaWorld in the ride. I just love that Universal's brazen about things like that, which I find hysterical that Disney now owns The Simpsons, which is just funny to me because on the ride in Universal, they make fun of them. To me, it's a fun ride. The queue is terrible. It's the worst queue potentially in all of Universal.
Yes.
It's just an outside line that's hot.
You're like at a carnival.
It's terrible.
An absolute carnival.
It's the worst queue.
How the queue when you're outside goes like gradually uphill.
Yeah.
Yes.
The queue at Kang and Kodo's and at Stormforce Accelatron is better. What does that tell you? The queue, this is a terrible queue. Even with the video showing you the Simpsons episodes and things like that, it's just not good.
No, it isn't good.
And Springfield is a great area of the park. It's one of my favorite areas of the park. It's beautifully themed. It's like being in the show. But for those reasons, that's why The Simpsons comes in for me at number 5.
I think also in the same vein, I'm sorry to cut you off,
No, I'm done
as what someone else said about Fallon replacing a classic ride. I think The Simpsons replaced a huge ride,
Yes.
like a really massive ride, and so it has to fill the shoes of Back to the Future and figure out, how do we, fill those shoes. And I think to people who have been on the Back to the Future ride and who now are on The Simpsons, it's a big difference. And there's a lot of people who I think maybe some of that hate that goes towards The Simpsons is because, man, Back to the Future was so much of a better ride.
I used to think that, Ryan. I did. You guys know I have been a Universal guy since the 90s. I mean, it's when we were living in Florida. I've always loved it. I've always been there. I've held season passes multiple times. And I loved Back to the Future. I really did enjoy that ride. I recently went back, saw somebody on YouTube had a video of, actually it was the whole thing.
Yeah.
And as I watched it in reflection, I think I like The Simpsons better. I'm one of the few people. I mean, I get that, and I'm a purist. I like Confrontation better than The Mummy. I like Jaws better than Gringotts. And so I like the old attractions. But for this one, I think I like The Simpsons. Plus, remember with Back to the Future, there wasn't a whole area that was themed. It was just the ride Back to the Future. Now you have the whole town of Springfield there.
Right.
And The Simpsons made that happen. And so for me, that it's number 5.
Number 4. Boop, boop, doo, boop.
Ryan, what do you got at number 4?
Number 4 is, I love this ride, but I can never go on it. It is Rip Ride Rockit. I love Rip Ride Rockit. It's such a fun ride. It scares the crap out of me every time I go on, but I love it. The reason why it's at 4, a couple of reasons. Number 1, because this one hates going on Rip Ride Rockit. So,
Gabby, how do you really feel about that, Gabby?
Yeah.
We're not sure.
I like going with people that I know. I'm not a big solo line type of person. I don't like doing the single rider stuff. So I like to go on with people that I know and that I'm with. So I don't get to go on it really ever. I've gone on it a few times. I loved it every time. But the one knock against the ride itself is it's really, really harsh. It's bangs you around a lot. I always walk out of there with a headache. My neck is always sore. Something like that's always a problem after I get off. But to me, in some small way, it's kind of worth it just because I really like the ride. Picking your own music and stuff, I think is really fun. And I like roller coasters. So I'm always down to go on it.
What's your go-to song?
Probably what is the Kanye West song that they have on it?
I think it's Power.
Yeah, that one by Kanye West. I really like listening to that. Either that or the old, the Beastie Boys stuff.
Beastie Boys, yes.
Cool. Beastie Boys is awesome to listen to, but between those two, that's usually what I always pick.
Very good, very good. I'm either the Limp Bizkit or the lately it's been that song by the Black Eyed Peas, and I don't remember what the name of the song. That's not my genre of music at all.
Forfeit that ride for the rest of my life. I used to listen to the Black Eyed Peas too.
I love, and every now and again I'll listen to something country on there just to see what that experience is like, and it's don't do that.
Don't do it.
No, that ride to me.
It's not a country music ride. All right, so Gabby, number 4 for Ryan is Rip Ride Rockit. What comes in at number 4 for you? We know it's not that.
My number 4 is E.T., and that is wow, you see the look that Todd's giving me.
I think we're all confused that look.
I love this ride. The queue with the forest smells amazing. That is the best scent ever. And it's also, once you're inside the queue, deep enough into it, you feel like you're walking through the woods. I think that's awesome.
It does.
The ride is extremely dated. That's definitely for sure, but it brings back memories of watching the ride. My family and I loved the movie, or watching the movie is what I meant to say. The first time I rode the ride, I got my dad a shirt, and I swear every time I see it, he's wearing that shirt, the E.T. shirt that I got him.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And then the part going through where you overlook the city.
Yes.
That is the reason I go on that ride, is to overlook the city, because I think it's a really cool experience. It reminds me of the Disney ride, actually.
Peter Pan's Flight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is kind of Universal's answer to that. Yeah, that's not on my list. I actually think they should retheme that ride. I've said in a previous video a few years ago, last year, that they should retheme all of Kid Zone into Bikini Bottom and turn that into a
That would be
SpongeBob
cool.
ride.
That would be awesome.
That would
I
be
wouldn't
really
think
cool.
about that.
Yeah, ET's not on my list. But hey, to each his own. That's why we're doing this, right? That's the whole point.
But that queue is like walking through the Oregon Zoo.
The queue is amazing.
it's amazing.
And the proof of that is you can sell on Etsy and things like that. They sell waxes and Scentsies and stuff like that smell like the queue
The
at
ET queue.
ET. If you go to Etsy and look up ET queue, there
Boom.
it comes and you can actually buy these things.
Awesome. We need to get that.
And it does give you the feeling like you're outside
Yeah.
while you're inside. It's a short queue, however.
It is.
And the whole thing, giving them your name to say, when no one gives them their name, everybody gives them
Do
something.
it anymore.
Yeah, I know, because of COVID. I understand, but I hated it when they did it. So
I didn't
okay
like
with
that either. I have to admit.
But it's
it slowed
just
down the line.
it slows down everything. To hear ET say, Todd, Carla.
Did it ever actually say Todd?
No, because I never
Let's
said
be
Todd.
real.
I always
Names.
said
That's the whole
said
point.
something
You give them
fake.
stupid names and listen to him say butt liquor. or
Yes,
something
things like
that.
yes, things like that.
Minerva. I remember when we were all Pat that one
we
year.
had everybody said
Pat,
Pat. Yes, and everybody does that. But yeah, no, that's not on my list.
No.
All right, Carla, number 4 for you.
Okay,
if
here's
you
my-
say ET, you're gonna get muted. Oh.
This is the best thing ever.
Okay, so is this gonna be Gringotts? I'm guessing.
No. Surprise.
Well, what is it? This is just dead air right now.
It is not dead air. That is like, okay, shameless plug. This is the most incredible little music box that the amazing Gabby got me for Christmas. I love it, love it, love it. It's fantastic. And yeah, it's just really cool. And yes, I do solemnly swear that I'm up to no good. Okay. You would think that, yeah, maybe Gringotts, but no. I think my number 4 is the whole Olivanders experiment.
Yeah, I can see that.
Experience.
Wand celebration. Wand.
Yeah, the wand experience.
There it is.
It is so awesome. From start to finish, you really feel like you are walking into Olivanders, into the shop, and you get to see like all of this, just like all of these shelves packed with these old wand boxes, and it just has this really antiquated feel. And then you go in the room, and I cannot begin to tell you how many times Mia has been picked
It's
for this
amazing
experience.
how many times.
So much so that she got irritated and was like, I do not want to be picked again.
She told the host, she's like, listen, don't pick me.
Please don't pick me.
I've been picked too many times.
Yeah, but it's so wonderful watching all of the different interpretations of Ollivander, of like, who is going to play the Ollivander wizard.
Right.
The woman is fantastic.
Women, there's multiple.
Yep.
The woman that we had
The
was
woman
great,
that
yeah.
we had was wonderful. There was one gentleman who, broke out the ruler or the measuring tape. How about that? Ruler, measuring tape, whatever. Listen, it measured things, right? And it was just fantastic. It was so engaging, and the kids just love it. And maybe I'm just a big kid, but I love Harry Potter, and I love that experience.
It is a great show, and the last time that we were down there, Gabby got selected, and the wand chose her. Which wand did you get, Gabby? Do you remember? I'm sure you remember.
It was in a green box. That's all I remember.
Oh,
it was
okay.
not one of the characters
Yeah.
ones. It was one of the custom ones, but it was cool because it was my birthday, and they did an experience with you and I together.
Yeah,
remember?
True. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really cool thing. Okay, so for Carla, the Ollivanders wand ceremony is her number 4. For me, number 4 is Revenge of the Mummy. And that's probably low. You guys probably all have that on your list, and you probably have it higher. I like it. I don't love it. I like it, though. I think it's a good indoor roller coaster. I think it's short. I think it's a very short ride. I like kind of all of the eye candy stuff in the beginning better than the actual ride. I don't think there's anything special about the ride itself. But like, when it propels you through the mummy's mouth, and then, the comedic element, are you insane? That kind of, I like that. I think that's fun. And, and then of course, Brendan Fraser at the end yelling about his cup of coffee. There's sentimental elements to me that make it on my list. The ride in and of itself is okay. I think the queue is very underrated. I think it's a great queue. And I know I don't hear people talking about that a lot, but I do think the queue is exceptional. And those are the reasons Revenge of the Mummy is number 4 for me.
3.5. Wait, 3 or 3.5?
All right, Ryan, you're up again, number 3.
Yeah, number 3, Mummy. So I have Mummy at 3, kind of for the same reasons. I would have had it high. I actually did have it higher last time that we had talked kind of privately about the ranking of rides, and I had it higher until my number 2 spot filled up, and I'll get to that one. It's number 2. But Mummy is a good ride. It is short, but it has like that cult following feel. It's like it's always an enjoyable ride. It brings back memories. It's got a lot of inside jokes, and it's just a fun ride. It's very sentimental and nostalgic, so I like it for that. The regular queue is good, but the express queue is boring. So that's also something to consider. The express queue, just kind of going around all the cool stuff, and it's dark, and you're just walking in the dark the whole time.
Almost, in my opinion, every ride with the express queue, it's a lot less in depth, and I feel like that's because a lot less people, in my opinion, get express. And I feel like they have a lot less room because if you think it's an express line, so they have to have it short to get to the ride.
That's true. That's true.
But I don't know. That's just my opinion because I don't care about the queue and rides. I like to have fun on the ride.
See, the queue is half the fun, at least to me. I love looking at all the stuff in the queue. But Mummy's a fun ride. I always have a great time on it, but it dropped down to 3 for a reason that will be determined later.
Sure. And you know, I want to say I just not too long ago put out a video, you know, I don't know how long ago it was, about the top movies that you should watch to enhance your ride experience. And Mummy was number 5. And I absolutely think you should do that. I think watching that movie makes this ride better. I absolutely do think that. And so if you haven't seen that video, we'll put a link in the description, or you can go check that out for sure. All right, Gabby, what is number 3 for you?
My number 3 is one that I wish I could put higher because I don't feel like I can because of my 1 and 2. But it's the Bourne show that they have, the new Bourne Stuntacular, which I think is the best show that I've ever seen anywhere. And I'm talking even outside of Universal and Islands of Adventure, like any production that I've seen, I think it's incredible. And I think if you haven't seen it, you're not going to understand until you see that show. It's awesome. It's such a cool experience. And me and Ryan, when we saw it, how many times? Twice or 3 times?
3 times.
3 times or twice. Either way, both times I was blown away, and they were the day after each other. It wasn't like it was 6 months apart. We saw them right after each other, and I would sit there and see it again an hour later. That show's amazing.
I'm with you. I think it is the best show I've ever seen. I was blown away. And I wasn't looking forward to it. I thought Bourne's an old, dated property. Why are you even building an attraction around something that's over? I'm so glad they did. It was just incredible. So Bourne is number 3 for you. Go ahead, Gab.
Yeah, that's actually, Bourne is also why the horror makeup show didn't make it on my list, because I enjoy the rides a lot more than shows. If I could go on rides versus seeing a show, I would always pick going on rides, but I had to put one of the 2 in my list, I felt, and the Bourne definitely took that spot because of the dynamics of the entire show. The show is just incredible.
It really is. It's absolutely, if you haven't seen the Bourne,
cannot miss it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the Bourne Stuntacular, make that the first thing. That's one of the few rides I'd wait an hour for.
Yeah.
You know, I would wait an hour to see that attraction. That's how good it is. Okay, so Carly, you are up. What is number 3 for you?
My number 3 is The Mummy.
Okay.
I like it. I mean, it is so much fun. I always have a ball going on this ride. The queue is great. The one knock for me is the fire because it just terrifies me. Absolutely terrifies me. When it's over my head, it totally freaks me out. But I think that makes the ride even better for me because I'm actually terrified. But it's fast and funny and just... It's just a cool ride. Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely up there.
You know, even the exit of the Mummy is cool. When you walk into the game, the gift shop.
Oh, yeah.
And then you walk in, there's the photo op with the mummy, you know, like this.
Yes.
It's just a cool experience. I mean, if you haven't done the Mummy, go do Revenge of the Mummy. I mean, it's in it, you know, it has a great longevity. I think it's been there longer than Confrontation was. And I don't believe Ryan or Gabby, did you guys ever ride Confrontation?
No.
And that was,
No.
I think that was great. I mean, I like that better than the Mummy. I wish they bring that back. It was just, for those of you who've been on Confrontation, I mean, you were in a above ground cable car, and Kong shakes the car. I mean, it was really. Have you been on it?
No, I
Yeah,
don't
I didn't think
remember
you'd
it.
been on it. Yeah, it's really good. Okay, so the Mummy is number 3 for you.
Yes.
And for Ryan, and for me it was number 4. So Gabby, where did you have the Mummy? Or did you have the Mummy?
I haven't spoken about
Okay,
the Mummy.
okay. So for me, number 3 is the horror and the makeup show. Horror and makeup show.
Ah.
I love it. I think it's funny every time. I know the jokes and I laugh every time. I really love it when they pick somebody from the crowd who cannot speak English.
That's hilarious.
I think that makes it funnier. I think that makes it better because they, and the way they remember the person's name and all those things.
Yes.
It's just exceptional. I do, of course, I don't know their names, but I have my favorite actors in that.
Mark Jacobs.
Well,
is
that's
that
Mark
his name?
James, but that's not
James.
really their name. They
Yeah.
all play Mark James and Alex. Mark and Alex. Yeah. But it's not who they are.
Oh, for real? My favorite color's clear.
the guy with the beard.
Yeah.
He's the
I
best.
love him.
They're just great. They're all great. And all of the people are good, and I love that. Adding Beetlejuice to the pre-show
Oh, that was awesome.
just kicked it up a notch,
It
and
was
that's why
awesome.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. It's just a great show. Even the horror genre when I was younger, I was really into that, and to see. But here's a cue. It's never mentioned as a cue because it's just a room. But all of the things
yeah.
to see in that room, if that was a cue,
true.
amazing.
It
I
is
mean, that'd be one of the
amazing. I
best
didn't
cues that
think
there
about
are.
that.
And all the photo ops because there's things you can take pictures with there
Yeah.
in there. Truly a sensational show. And before Bourne, I would have said it was the best show. And so that should tell you the Bourne's somewhere still coming on my list. But horror and makeup show is to me the humor. I think my favorite joke in the whole thing is when the hostess or the host accuses some kid in the audience
Yes.
of throwing a rock at the screen. I love the interaction. It's a fabulous, fabulous show, and that's why for me it's in at number 3.
Or flicking the cigarette butt.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's just the interaction is great. It's one of the best shows.
It's funny.
You can find them all over YouTube. Watch it. Find one that shows the whole horror and makeup show. Watch it. It's great.
It's fun.
Number 2.
Okay, so Ryan, we're down to number 2, man. We're just flying through these today. So what do you got at number 2?
Yeah, number 2 for me is the Bourne Stuntacular. We already spent plenty of time talking about it. The Bourne show is the best show I have ever seen. I have seen shows at Las Vegas with Cirque du Soleil. I have seen shows in plenty of different places, and obviously a ton in Universal, and then in Disney too. I've seen a ton of stuff with that. But Bourne takes the cake. It's incredible. It's super immersive. The way that they use the technology to work within the show, I don't want to really give anything away through this video, but the way that they use technology during the show as well as the real people who are acting is second to none. I've never seen anything like it. I would ride it or experience it at least every single time that I went there, hands down. And like Gabby said, I mean, we went on it, multiple days in a row, and every single time was just as amazing as the first time that we went. So 100%, this would be number 1 if I didn't absolutely love number 1 more than anything else in probably all of the parks. But Bourne is number 2. It's an awesome, awesome experience.
Yeah. We don't have to talk more about it. It is coming up on my list, and I have something I want to mention about it, but I'll wait for that. But I'm with you. I'm totally with you. Okay. Gabby, number 2 for you.
My number 2 is the Mummy,
Okay.
and that's because that's my favorite ride of all time. Well, except
and
for
yet
my
it's number 2.
Well, I think the Mummy holds a super nostalgic feeling to me because my first time to Universal before I met Ryan wasn't too far before I met him, but me and my dad went to Universal, and neither of us had been in such a long time. Well, it was my first time going, and he hadn't been in years, and we just somehow missed all of the signs saying that it was a roller coaster and went on it. And my dad shouldn't go on roller coasters, but he was perfectly fine on it, and it was it was hilarious. And I think that's why I have such a tight hold on the Mummy being my favorite
Sure.
ride. Every time I'm there, I chase Ryan down to go on the Mummy with me, and I just think about the look on my dad's face when that thing turned into a track and he said, "Oh no." It was awesome.
Well, that's a great story.
I just wish it was longer.
Yeah.
That is the reason that I can't have it at number one, in my opinion, is I feel like you get on the ride and you spend more time getting onto the ride than you do on the ride.
Yeah,
That's true.
Is a lot, like a lot of the rides in Universal, because of the capacity, you spend a lot of time in the line. But more rides, I feel like, are worth spending the time in the line.
That's a great story, Gabby. I didn't know that, and I like knowing that story.
That's really
I think that's
sweet.
pretty cool. So the Mummy is number 2 for Gabby. Carla, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is something that we've talked about over and over and over again, and it is Bourne. I love that show. It's just phenomenal, and I'm just going to leave it there. I will say this: if you have not seen Bourne, if you have not gone and experienced it, you have to experience it. It is so worth it. It's worth it. I would wait and wait and wait in line for that. It's really amazing.
Yeah, about the only thing negative. So we'll jump right to my number 2, which is also Bourne. The Bourne Stuntacular is number 2 for me. Here's what I'm going to tell you about it. I think we've been on that. I think we've seen it 4 times. I think it's been 4 times.
4 or 5.
3 of the 4 times, it's broken down.
Yeah, that's true.
And I still think it's that good.
Yeah. Yep.
That should tell you a lot. It literally has broken down. But even when it breaks down, they come out and they talk to you and they keep you engaged.
Yeah.
It's still amazing. The technological advancements in this ride are the likes of which I've never seen. I was so impressed with this. I was just blown away. And so it's number 2. Again, I agree with Carla. Don't miss this. Wait in line for this. About the only thing negative I have to say, the queue is uninspiring. I mean, but it's not terrible. It does have some nice footage. It does have, the little Mini Cooper, the car with the TV screen playing, the motorcycle. The pre-show is, to me, long.
It is long.
It's super long.
I cannot stand the pre-show.
And it's
information you don't need.
Yeah, I agree. Julia Stiles comes out and she reprises her role.
Right.
And it's good, but it's like see it once and then I don't ever want to see it again. It's just too long.
I do get the pre-show for the sense of if you've never seen anything that has to do with Bourne and you went to see the show, I think you'd still enjoy it a lot. But I think knowing the background, which she goes in depth about the background and why it takes so long for her to go through it, is because I feel like you get all the knowledge you need to understand the show itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's exactly why they do it. What I would say is go watch the movie.
Yeah.
Watch the Bourne Identity. Watch the movies. In fact, if you watch my video on movies, you should watch that one's on that list as well. Check that out. All right. So
those movies are great.
They are. They vaulted Matt Damon's career. I mean he was big before that with Good Will Hunting, but still, Bourne is amazing. All right, so Ryan, we are up to your number 1 unless you have an honorable mention. If you do, go ahead and give me the honorable mention and then go right into number 1.
Okay, yeah, I have 2 quick honorable mentions. I could so many different things in honorable mentions because I love a lot of the rides at Universal. Halloween Horror Makeup Show, Halloween Horror. Why do I always say that? Halloween.
It used to be called that.
Okay, so I keep saying that, but the Horror Makeup Show is fantastic. I love it, but as we talked about earlier, I think if you get stuck in a crowd with a lot of people already, it's a little bit less enjoyable. And so my second honorable mention, I feel like a little kid for saying it, but I like Fallon. I actually really do have an enjoyable time when I go on that ride. I'm not a massive fan of the queue, but it's also really fun. And I always enjoy when I do go on Fallon. I always leave smiling. I never have a bad experience. So that's a fun ride. I always have a good time. So it's an honorable mention for me.
It's usually what we go on in place of Rip Ride because they're right by each other.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. I've ridden that ride more than enough times for my life.
Yeah. I think Fallon's a good ride. I do. I don't understand the hate that it gets. I don't think it's great, but I certainly do think it's good.
Hey, number 1.
So what's number 1 for you, Ryan?
Yeah, so number 1, I think a lot of people would agree, is the Fast and Furious. Just kidding. It is Men in Black. Men in Black is my number 1. That is the best ride. I think the longevity of that ride, I know exactly what's going to happen every single time I go on that ride. I know exactly which aliens to shoot, my strategy. but it's just, I could do it over and over again a million times a day. I always have so much fun. And it's a great time whenever you go with your friends and you try to beat each other's score, or even beat the cart across from you, their score collectively, or try to max out or whatever. There's so many different opportunities to play different every time you go on. And it's just such a fun ride. I always have the best time. And one thing about the ride that not a lot of people talk about is I think it's the perfect ride for when it's super hot outside, because the queue is ice cold and it's amazing. It's the best queue because of how freezing cold it is inside at all times. But Men in Black, all-time favorite ride. I don't even think anything could beat Men in Black to me, because I could do it over and over again and be in love every time. I love that ride.
And no one ever beats Ryan for his score when we go on. He's maxed it out before, haven't you? Didn't you just max it out recently? But
last time we went,
he averages like in the 700,000s. I mean, he does so well.
So annoying.
Yeah, he is annoying. So it makes sense that that's your number one. In fact, I might have to not put it on my list just because of that.
I know, right?
But Men in Black Alien Attack, it's a very popular ride. A very underrated queue, in my opinion. I think the queue is exceptional. Like, Carla doesn't think it's anything special. I think it's a great queue. And then I'll let you talk. But also the tour, the downstairs, the behind the scenes tour, which we've done.
Are we talking about the tour that you guys did without me on my birthday?
Yes, that's the one. That's the one we're talking about.
That's the one.
But we did show you pictures, Gabby. We did show you pictures.
Gabby throwing guilt.
Carla, you want to say something about the queue?
Yes, the queue to me, like, if you just walk through, and you just pass by all of, like, the little, I don't know, guns and stuff, right? I'm like, whatever. But I cannot get away from the downstairs part, where you can actually do that tour. And if you have the opportunity to do that tour.
Gabby's like, I wouldn't know.
Yeah. If you have the opportunity to do that tour, you have to do it. It is so cool. And just it really does make that much of a difference. It's a lot of fun.
It does. So I think it's a great number one, Ryan.
Yeah.
Good for you. Gabby, what's number one for you?
My number one. Wait, do you want my honorable mention?
Yes. I'm sorry. Honorable mentions and then number one.
Okay, my honorable mention is the Gringotts ride, and I have that as an honorable mention for the same reasons Ryan said, but he actually put it on his list. It's an honorable mention because of the queue. I think the queue is amazing during the bank. Once you get past the bank, I get extremely claustrophobic. I hate the rest of the queue, but for the beginning part, I think it's really cool. And then it didn't make my list though, because the actual ride itself, I think the 3D, and maybe this is only my problems, is very blurry to me whenever I see the ride and go on it. And I also think they could have incorporated that ride into more of a roller coaster, because when you go down in the beginning, it makes you excited, like, okay, this is going to be a fun roller coaster, and then you're sitting and watching a movie for the rest of it.
It just transfers you from screen to screen. I'm with you. Yeah, obviously. I mean, okay. Thanks, Gab.
And then my number one is also Men in Black, that ride. That one's really fun. And I actually used to not enjoy that ride. Ryan has always loved it, but he would ask me to go on it. I'm like, yeah, sure, we can go. And I realized that I used to hate that ride because I sucked at it. And now that I'm better, I'm not going to say great, but I'm better at it, I enjoy that ride so much.
You're really good at that ride. No, you do a great job.
Yeah, I thought you did pretty well. I did. We were just there, and I thought you did well.
Compared to Ryan, it's not. It's hard.
No one does well. He maxes the thing. No one does well. That guy is playing a different game than the rest of us.
Captain Annoying.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Carla, number one for you.
Okay, I have some honorable mentions first.
Okay.
Plural. Thank you. First, the first one I have is The Tales of Beetle the Bard and Celestina Warbeck. I absolutely love those two little shows. They're so cool. The puppeteering in Tales of Beetle the Bard is fantastic. And Celestina Warbeck, I mean, how can you not love her? She's whoever is singing is just amazing. So I love to just sit and listen to it, and it kind of brings, a little bit of the book to life, because you really don't get to see that in the movies, but you get to live that book a little bit. So that's those two. And then my other honorable mention is Gringotts. I can't get away from Gringotts. I can't put it in my top 5 because for me it is underwhelming. The queue, like everyone has said in the beginning, is just spectacular. It's really beautiful and just incredible. The vaults. That one door gets me every time. I like turn the corner and go, oh, where is it? I have to see the door. It's just great. But that's where it ends. And then you go around the corner and have to stand and get your picture taken, or you did before, and I don't think that they're doing that now. It's just kind of boring.
You know, I want to say this because Gringotts is nowhere on my list. It's not an honorable mention. It's not in the top 5. I think the queue is the second best queue in all of Universal. I think the only queue I think that's better than that is the Forbidden Journey. And I think that one of the things that people forget about the queue is, do you remember the screen where you're there with Bill Weasley, and I can't remember the name of the goblin who's helping him on the ride. Remember, they go into his office.
The office, yeah.
That is visually
great.
Amazing.
It's beautiful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And again, the element of going through the bank and all of the animatronics that are moving, it's like you're there.
Yeah, it is.
And Gabby's right. After that, it goes way downhill because you're walking upstairs. It is a little bit tight. And then down the long hallway where you're like in the bank where all the offices are is just a long line.
Yeah.
Then you get on the fake elevator, which is cool. Or you can do that before you get into there. I agree. It's missing then. And then you get on the ride, and the ride is underwhelming.
Yeah.
It tells a good story. You're right.
Yeah.
The 3D is not as good as I think it should be and could be. And so, it's an underwhelming ride. I agree. But the queue is amazing.
I think they could have done more with the ride.
I agree.
mean,
the outside, though, the Gringotts Bank,
oh my
Diagon
gosh.
Alley, there's nothing like it anywhere.
You could leave me in Diagon Alley for days. I just love that place.
So when you factor all of those things in, maybe it should be on my list. It's not.
Yeah.
But maybe it should be. All right, so what's your number 1?
Okay, I'm following suit here with Men in Black. I absolutely love Men in Black. We have more fun on that ride, and I cannot tell you how many times we have gone through it and then just run right back around and gone right back on it again and again and again and
I
again.
can't remember when we
gosh.
haven't done that.
I know, it's so fun. It's so fun, and we get like ultra competitive, and who's beating who, and no one beats Ryan. Whatever.
I have beaten Ryan. I would point that out to you.
Whatever.
I have one time.
At one time, yeah.
Yeah, just that one time that we wrote.
I score usually in the anywhere from 350. My highest score is like 650.
No,
I'm somewhere in that one. Yeah.
You were in the 700s this last time, weren't you?
In 600s.
Yeah, you were.
Was I in the 700s?
That's what I thought.
Okay.
That's
That's right. I had one good run. I did.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
Okay.
I was like almost at 500,000, so that was big for me. But yeah, it's
there's
just a
people
cool
watching
ride.
this. They're going, I scored like 35,000. What are these guys doing? There's people who are
Either that or they're laughing, going, "You only got 500,000."
Here's your key: shoot aliens in the windows up high. That's first. There's that, and then towards the end, shoot the meter. The meter with the eyes on it.
Oh, the eyes, yeah.
That and Steven Spielberg, Frank the Pug, they're all worth a lot of points. And shoot them over and over and over again. There's a lot of points to be
Yeah,
scored
it's not
there.
one and done.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's it for me. That's Men in Black.
Men in Black. Great.
Yes.
All right. So for me, number 1, this is going to floor everybody, is I'm not going to tell you because I have an honorable mention to tell you
Fast
first.
and Furious.
No one has mentioned this as an honorable mention. I'm really disappointed in all of you.
Is it?
It makes me feel like the Blues Brothers.
Yes.
The Blues
And
Brothers.
see, I was gonna say, I don't mean to cut you off, and I was going to put Blues Brothers in there because I love that show. The only knock that I have against the Blues Brothers is it's outside and you can't sit, and it's hot sometimes. And if it's like 95 degrees and super humid, I really, as much as I love that show, don't want to stand stagnant in the Florida heat for 25 minutes. I really don't feel like doing it as much as I love the show. In nice weather, it's way up there on my list because I love it.
Well, even first I saw it, I didn't enjoy it because it was cold and rainy. So I feel like they would be very beneficial if they had even a small space to perform. It didn't, even if it's not themed like crazy, but they had like, I don't know, something. I feel like it would be nice to have indoors, because when we saw it, I was enjoying it, but I remember we walked away because I was freezing and it was starting to rain. So, and I also do they advertise when that show is starting, or?
Yeah, they do.
Because I feel like
They don't advertise it,
never
but
mind.
if you walk by where they do the blues review, you can see show times. It's also on the app, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things. I've thought before they should move that show inside.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't, because the car is an iconic part of it. You know, when Jake and Elle would drive up in the car, and they drive through the New York street, and they get out of the car, and he's slinging his chain around, and then they get up there and they interact, and the singing, and can we just talk about the guy who plays Dan Aykroyd's part? That guy's amazing. I mean, the dancing, he looks like him, he sounds like him, he moves like him. It's unbelievable. And they have a couple different guys who do John Belushi's role, and they're all good. They're all good. The music is good. They can all sing. They always have a great sax player.
That's what I was
The
talking
Aretha
about.
Franklin character is always good. I've never heard anybody who didn't just excel in that show. And Ryan, you may remember we saw them. We ran into them waiting to come into the show and taking pictures and interacting, always in character. I really wanted to get them doing number one or something like that, you know, to put on the videos. But with COVID, everybody has to wear a mask, and it's hard to get that. So we have to stick with what we have for now. But once COVID's over, I intend on doing that. I really do. It's a great show.
They were busy.
What?
Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I was going to say they were too busy to do your thing for your video. They were on a mission from God.
They were on a mission from God. That's right. I think part of why it's on my list and not on yours is I grew up with that. You know, that's from my generation. That movie came out when I was a teenager. And, you know, I remember both of those guys from the original Saturday Night Live. And so I loved that. And so that's why it's in my honorable mention. I'm surprised it's not on my list, but Bourne being on the list made it hard, and I almost put it there and made The Simpsons my honorable mention, but the Springfield theming really puts The Simpsons up there. And then for me, number one is Men in Black Alien Attack, for all of the reasons we've already discussed. I think the queue is exceptional. I think the ride is so much fun, 10 times more fun than Buzz Lightyear Ranger Spin, Disney's answer to it. It's 10 times better than that. When you factor in the underground or the downstairs, the thing that you can go and see, I can't think of what they call it now, and that we've been able to do that. There's nothing like this. It's fun. It's competitive. You know, trying to beat the cart that you're up against, and trying to beat the people in your car. And for us, when we usually go, there's 5 of us there, and so it's we all battle for second place. But you know, but it's just fun. And I never get the red button, ever. I never get the bonus, and I don't know why. I just don't. But it's so much fun. The cars are comfortable. It's fun. I will say, if there's a negative, not all of the guns are even.
That's very true.
Some of the guns are better than others.
Yes.
And that dictates your score, and I don't like that. And I'd like to see them like maybe shut it down for a month and do a refurbishment and get all those guns firing great. Other than that, it's an amazing ride. All of us had it as number one.
Yep.
I don't know if there's anything more fun than this. It's the Jimmy Buffett of attractions, right? It's the Margaritaville of attractions. We loved Margaritaville in our restaurants because it was themed well and fun. This is themed well and fun. And so that's why it's number one for all of us. Go ahead.
Gabby had something to say to you there.
Yeah, go ahead, Gab.
I think with Men in Black, something that nobody is going to think about, I don't expect you to think about it, because when you go to Halloween Horror Nights, you go to be scared, but I definitely do not. They have houses. There's a house on one side of Men in Black that the line starts, and then there's another one on the other side of Men in Black. And last year, when we all were there, I don't go into the houses because the strobe lights, I don't do well with them. And me and Mia went through the queue while you guys were in line, and we went on Men in Black 10 plus times while you guys were on or in the house, and me and her were having the time of our lives. And going on that ride during Halloween Horror Nights, there was not one single person on the ride.
Oh,
it was so fun.
That'd be awesome.
That's ideal.
That'd be great. So now we know what we got to do.
Yeah.
So, what was that?
I said, so buy a ticket to Halloween Horror Nights and go on Men in Black.
That's right. That's right. Anything else you guys want to throw in there?
I can't think of anything. I mean, I think we've covered it all.
Okay. Once again, I want to thank Marcus in the studio. Marcus,
Yes.
thanks for being here, helping us out. He's a behind-the-scenes
Marcus.
guy with us. We appreciate you
Yes.
doing that. We will be doing this again. I think next time, guys, we'll have to do the top 5 attractions on the islands side of things. So join us for that. As always, put in your comments what your top 5 are. Put in there suggestions of what things you'd like for us to discuss and talk about. Restaurant reviews, individual restaurants, those kind of things. Doesn't matter. You put it down in the comments, and we'll figure out a way to talk about it. Before we go, I want to remind you to like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you can be made aware every time we put out a new video. And as always, look for weekly updates and then one featured video on Saturday. All right. Hey, thanks for doing Ryan. Thanks for being here. Gabby, I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. We'll see you when
Love
we
you
see
guys.
you. Carla, thanks for being here and
This was so
and letting
fun.
the people know, behind the scenes. Carla does come up with a lot of the creative content that you see on the show. A lot of the things on the channel she has suggested. And she's the best wife in the world. And go bless somebody else today. Listen, go out there, do something amazing for somebody else. Expect nothing in return. And watch what happens in your life. We'll see you when we see you.